Hello and welcome to this round 4 of the FAB Foundry Win-A-Box event held at the beginning of March. I'm Bobby. I'll be doing the commentary today. And then we've got Ben on Deathspeaker on the top of your screen here. This is an Earth Air build. And we've got Vince on Enchantress on the bottom of your screen here. It's a water, fire build. Both these decks are a little bit more mid-game kind of decks. They want to just set up early. Enchantress wants to get her foresight squares so she can animate the auras and get in for attack without banishing them. And the Deathspeaker, Ben's deck is trying to use a lot of graveyard recursion and value out of the graveyard, the cemetery. I don't know if it'll come from this game, but I know that this list does have the goodness gracious, I cannot remember the name of it, but it 4 power or 4 mana, 1 power, 2 power comes back from the cemetery when something dies on an Earth site. So the deck is trying to use additional recursion pieces beyond just the basic Deathspeaker recast ability. Yeah, players are resolving their mulligans here. Looks like we're about to get going. Looks like Vince is on the play here. Starts off with a vast desert and passes turn. Yeah, this is an early hard decision for Ben. He doesn't want to put that Gnome Hollows down in the back site here, but it's gonna be okay. I think the defensive nature of it being there is not your favorite thing to do, but it does work out usually. Vince goes ahead and plays a Tufted Turtle on a pond here, using that mana advantage early, which is always good. Ooh. Ben loves using these perilous bridges to block everything, be really defensive, and hide out behind them. So he loves copying them as well. So Sisters of Avalon comes in. Hexam Haunt is discarded here. Hexam Haunt is a 3 power, 3 cost spirit that can be cast from the cemetery, but it must be cast buried. So it can be a ton of extra value, but it does have that slight downside of needing to be buried when it is cast. But it's a good way to get card advantage, especially with the Sisters of Avalon. Just discard a card from your hand that just is going to be a full card from your cemetery, so might as well discard it. Vince thinking about the attack there, but realizing he can't get through the top of the Perilous Bridge with his Tufted Turtle, so he's just going to deploy that Troll Bridge and pass turn. Perilous Bridge comes in. Looks like it's Mirror Realm coming in here. Looks like it's trying to call the Perilous Bridge, but maybe Ben's actually rethinking that. Yep, he does change here. Going to be a Gnome Hollows. Not sure why he did that. The Hexam Haunts from the cemetery does need both air. Maybe he has some double earth things in hand and has an extra air site in hand. So yeah, for now he just goes ahead and casts the Apprentice Wizard to get that draw. And back over to Vince. It looks like Vince is tapping for a site here. Options, apparently. Right. Deciding on a floodplain up on the front right there, making the T. Was considering making it a square on the bottom left there, but Vince, thinking about his plays here, must have a couple of options. Looks like he's considering, is that a Plague of Frogs he's got over there on the side? Plague of Frogs would be quite nice here, just a lot of blockers, a lot of defensive pieces. Yeah, that is a Plague of Frogs. 7 frogs summoned anywhere, and they can be on top, under, or submerged. They can also go on your opponent's sites. But with the defensive need here, I'm guessing that Vince just deploys them all on his side somewhere. Looks like 2 under the Troll Bridge, 1 back on the Vast Desert, at least 4, and they are all going under the floodplain, it looks like. One mana left for Vince here. Tufted Turtle's going to step over, and it looks like that's the end of turn. Back over to Ben here. Draw the site for turn, and looks like he's going to deploy it. There's a windmill. That does give the double air that we were looking for the Hexenhawks. Moving a few pieces around. That Hexenhaunts does come in under the Mirror Realm there, which is the Gnome Hollows. I'm not entirely sure that Hexenhaunts can be there because it is a Gnome Hollows. It is what's decided here, though, and I'm not sure that is going to get caught because it's kind of a weird play with it being the Gnome Hollows copied by the Mirror Realm. Let's see if I can. Another Mirror Realm coming in from Vince now, copying the Troll Bridge. Atlantean Fate. Well, that'll solve the problem with the illegal placement of the Hexenhaunts. Considering a slightly different placement, just because doesn't want those turtles to drown under the Troll Bridge. Yeah, so Gnome Hollows does say units with power 3 or more cannot enter, and Hexenhaunts does in fact have 3 power. So I'm not, that wouldn't be allowed to be there. But the Atlantean Fate does come in and block off that, turn off both Gnome Hollows and that Perilous Bridge. Tufted Turtle getting in for 2 on that Mirror Realm. That's all 5 mana, it looks like, and passing turn back to Ben. Let's spell for Ben, tapping for a site. Ben does have some threshold issues here with that Atlantean Fate, but this Amethyst Core will help fix a little bit of that, and getting back up to 2 air and 1 earth. I'm attacking with that Apprentice Wizard, just getting in for 1 really quick. The Haunts come back out. They do have the threshold for that, and that is a legal placement under the Windmill. That floodplain can just drown it real quick here if Vince decides to activate it. Vince picking up a site here, or spell here. It looks like it might be another Tufted Turtles in hand there. And a Drought as well. But Vince does not have the second fire threshold to play that Drought at the moment. It does look like he's attempting to play that anyway, though. Really wanting to make sure he understands what's happening with that Hex and Haunt there. It's not like he's seeing the floodplain, though. Yeah, then that drought does come out. Hopefully we catch that as well. There are some frogs under that floodplain as well, which would be buried if that drought were illegal, but it's hopefully we get it picked up here. Ben coming in with another windmill on the far right there. Really making sure not to build those squares for the Enchantress, which does make sense. Staying off those two sites adjacent to the gnome hollows there is helpful to make sure that that Atlantean fate cannot be animated there. So that is a good strategy. Against anything but Enchantress, though, having those squares is quite nice. It's a smaller area to defend. Right now, it's a bit hard for Ben to defend that far out there windmill. That Amethyst Core ramp getting countered up here, it looks like. Oh, it looks like we're counting threshold on Vince's side here. I think he's counting his threshold there with those dice, realizing that he does not, in fact, have that second threshold for the drought there. Got a little bit of backing up to do here. Looks like Ben's going to pick up that Lady Iseult, unattack, unplay that site, noting that he'll skip the draw when it comes back to his turn. Does not look like we gained the life yet. Another tufted turtle. Ben replaying the windmill and the Lady Iseult. Playing Aversion and Prayer, gonna ward that Lady Iseult. Realizing there's a bunch of submerged frogs under there. Vince blocking with frog. And passing back to Vince here. Well, we know Vince has that route in hand. In this matchup, because it's because Ben's not on any water, it will just be a 4-power attacker. Out comes an Oasis, that is that second fire threshold. Ben correcting his board state there a little bit and tapping the Deathspeaker for his site from last turn. Ben up to 6 mana here, does have that drought in hand and both threshold for it now. It's kind of an awkward place here because it does start turning off his own water sites with that, which can be tricky. Tufted Turtle getting in for 2 more. And it's worth mentioning that Tufted Turtle is now at 6 damage this game, so that is quite a lot of damage from a Tufted Turtle. Most of the game is focused on the other side, but that is going unanswered and making a big difference. floodplain getting recognized now and flooding and destroying the or submerging the Hexam Haunts. And since it's underneath the site, it's not near the Lady Iseult, so it will go back to the bin, not to hand. So it's another little interaction there. A game action, couple game actions, but no mana spent yet. So see what Vince does here. Really considering whatever this play is. Drought? Drought is played. 2 frogs under that now non-water troll bridge, which does mean they're dead. It's not like we're catching that at the moment. Turn got passed over, drawing a spell, then drawing a sight. Nice play here from Ben, getting to destroy 2 of those auras with 1 dispel. That is a feel-good play for Ben. 2 mana for 7 mana worth of value on board is pretty good. Obviously, the Atlantean Fate did get a little more value than just its body on the board, but that is still a nice mana trade for Ben. Those frogs are still showing up under the troll bridge. We'll have to keep track of that and see if those make a difference here, but they should not exist at this point. Ben attacked with a Virgin and Prayer. Vince blocked with a frog. Vince really in making sure that these minions are not dying adjacent to this lady or nearby this Lady Iseult, making sure that they do not pop back to hand. Getting able to recast and reward things with the Virgin and Prayer or recast the Apprentice Wizard and Draw is too much value to handle for Vince. So he's opting to just sacrifice these frogs to maintain life total. Yep, Hexam Haunt's coming back again underneath the Perilous Bridge. We can see that Grand Meowster Wizard in hand, but it's not getting played yet, so it looks like Ben's passing. Choosing not to attack with the Apprentice Wizard. I'm not sure why. I feel like even if you're just going to be depleting frogs, it's a good idea to get those attacks moving. He could also attack over on the Oasis or the Pond to get some damage in. But opting to just leave that as a blocker, maybe doesn't want to leave the Lady Iseult vulnerable to an attack from that Tufted Turtles. As I talk here, the other Tufted Turtles has already gotten in for 2 damage, down to 12 for Ben. Acid Rain getting cast over here on the left on the Mirror Realm, Perilous Bridge, Pond, Troll Bridge site. Turning off the Troll Bridge's Enter Site ability, but that should end up working out. Doesn't look like Ben's going to be going into that Troll Bridge anytime soon. Wow, 3rd Tufted Turtle from Vince here. It's the game of Tufted Turtles, it looks like. This is... the advantage is definitely toward Tufted Turtles at the moment. Ben on the back foot here. Does have a lot of cards in hand and a lot of resources to use here, so hopefully for a hit he can get some additional value out of them. Yep, noting that there's 2 frogs under the floodplain there. Haunt's coming up. Looks like they're clarifying the ability that the Enchantress ability, noting that when it is animated until the Enchantress's next turn. So when Ben does animate that Acid Rain, or if he does get to animate any of these auras ever, they will maintain that minion status until Vince untaps his Enchantress again. So that is worth noting. Good placement of that Root Spider, cutting off an avenue of attack from both these Tufted Turtles and also making that Acid Rain feel a little silly. Not really much to do with it at this point. If it gets animated, it's immediately disabled, so that's a setback for Vince. Ben trying to spend 9 mana when he only has 6 there. It looks like that Crown Prince got summoned over there on the far right, and after the Root Spider came in under the Mirror Realm. So going to start attacking with these, hopefully to get through the frogs, it sounds like. Attacking the Tufted Turtles. One more frog down. Looks like we're passing over, still not attacking with that Virgin and Prayer. Vince untapping. Oh, it was on little backstep there. Ben realizing he did not tap his Deathspeaker to draw a sight. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Vince allowing it after being requested. It's a pretty obvious use of that Deathspeaker. No new information was gained, so it makes sense that Vince is allowing that to happen. Vince weighing his options here. Looks like we got a flood flashed there. Maybe we'll be seeing a flood come down and kill that Root Spider. That is slowing Vince down quite a bit at this point, holding back 2 4 damage from the Tufted Turtles and 3 from the Acid Rain, so a total of 7 damage could be coming in here if that flood hits the ground. Vince triple checking mana here, it looks like, making sure there's not a better spot to put this. Put this flood he's pulled to the front of his hand. Sorcery is such a complicated game. It is so, there's so many pieces and so many things happening here. It's really easy to imagine being in Vince's spot here and not really knowing the particular best line here. Even with a life advantage and a board state advantage, really wants to make sure he doesn't fumble something here and put himself in a bad spot. He does know that there's a Dispel in the cemetery, so that might be something he's thinking about as well. Seeing if that means there's no more in the deck, or maybe there's a way to cast it from the cemetery. Not wanting to get got by some enchantment removal here, maybe. This is a really interesting board state. I mentioned earlier that it's a little bit, it seemed like Ben was focusing a lot on the right side of the board there, but he's actually spreading out, putting everything in both areas. But yeah, there's that flood. It does drown that spider, and that is going to be a big swing of damage here. It looks like he's animating that Acid Rain. I'm going to be able to get in for a total of 7. Big chunk of damage. Ben down to 5 here, looking at door imminently if nothing changes here. But I think that even though that it does seem to be weighted, Ben's board does seem to be weighted toward the right here. It's because Vince is clearing off the left side of that board. The frogs that are buried from that drought earlier are moving over, it looks like. And that'll be Vince's turn, and we'll go back to Ben here. I wonder what Ben's looking for here. Kind of things that could... The flood turns off a lot of the mass removal that Ben might have. His earthquakes, etc., are going to just not do anything. Maybe he can use some of these pieces that exist here to clear some of what Ben's got going on, but those frogs, there's so many frogs, it's hard to get through for Ben. Playing an observatory back there, again, making sure he does not give that square to Vince. Especially a square containing your home site is never a good thing to see against Enchantress, so keeping that M shape defense pattern against Enchantress makes sense. Skeleton Mage, that does the recasting of the Dispel. Yeah, Ben plays these Skeleton Mages. I think he's got a lot of those ordinary magics in his deck that like to be recast. So he's squeezing every bit of value out of his cemetery that he can muster. That's a big boon for him, getting able to put that back there. I might have attacked with my Hexamhaunt onto the Troll Bridge first. The Acid Rain turning off the Troll Bridge. Sorry, would have been nice to potentially capitalize on. And he uses the Version Prayer there to pop the defensive lock on the Tufted Turtle, then attacks in with the Prince, gets 3 damage. Shield Maiden's coming down. That's a nice defensive piece. Does not look like Ben's enjoying having so many Tufted Turtles in his face. Spent his last mana here, though, and looks like he's going to pass the turn. This is now a tricky puzzle for Vince to try to work through how to get Ben to door here. On board, it does not look like he has that. He'll need to make some clever moves to get through the situation. Or maybe he can just use this moment to clear some of the gook that's on the ground from Ben. If I'm Vince, my goal here, though, is make sure I get Ben to door. Yeah, attacking with the Tufted Turtles on that side makes sense. Trying to bait the Hexamhaunts move. Ah, Ben has a stag. Sacred Stag coming down on that flooded plain. It should be warded. Looks like we're gonna forgo the ward token this time. But it is warded and will ward the site. Potentially ward the site if it dies. So. Oh, Vince left that, sorry, Ben left that Virgin Prayer on the table there, but it should go back to his hand from the Lady Isil. Just make sure that that's clear. Yeah, Vince not able to get Ben all the way to door here, but he's getting closer. Yeah, so that Apprentice Wizard coming in, popping the ward on the Sacred Stag, and going back to Ben's hand. Because of the Virgin in, or not the Lady Isil. And that Hexam Haunts just popping in for 3 damage on the Sacred Stag. The Prince finishing it off, both cards going back to hand because of the Lady Isil. So many cards in hand for Ben, but I'm not sure he has enough mana to cast them all. That Virgin in Prayer gonna ward up the Shield Maidens. Ben's gonna move his Skeleton Mage over. To get out and away from a Root Spiders. That does make sense. Playing a Common Village out there on the side. That gets him back up to 3 mana, and a Crown Prince in the middle here. It's a bit of a tricky spot. Oh! The Foil Flood comes out this time, drowning the second Root Spider, and that will be door as Vince attacks over for 4 on that unprotected site. It does make sense. It was protected by the Root Spider, but and Ben does want to be able to attack with that Prince soon, so not putting the Prince over there on the Common Village does make sense to me, but it does put him in a bit of an awkward position at this point. Enchantress steps forward. Untapping those frogs that should have been untapped at the beginning of the turn. Again, two of those should not exist, but that is has not been relevant yet. Ben in quite a pickle here, not knowing quite what to do. Not a lot of... Ben looks like he's trying to make an illegal attack there. Let's see if we catch it. Yeah, the Perilous Bridge. It does stop the Prince from making that attack. Version Prayer is going to pop the protection on the turtle. Crown Prince will finish off the turtle. Version Prayer does go back to hand because of the Lady of Isil. Hexam Haunts coming in under a flooded site. Those do not have Submerge. They do not have Submerge, so yeah, they shouldn't exist under there. I'm guessing it's not going to come up. The only place he could have actually played that would have been over on the Observatory or the the windmill. He can't play it on the windmill underneath the Crown Prince because it'll just get drowned by the flooded plain. A Common Sense gets played here. Ben going to get something. Not sure what he can get here. Give another Dispel he wants to get to turn off that flood, maybe. Oh, Scourge Zombie. Oh, that's the name of the card I was trying to think of earlier. Scourge Zombie. Whenever an ally mortal dies on land, you summon the Scourge Zombie from the cemetery. Looks like he is then using the Deathspeaker ability to cast a Sisters of Avalon to discard that Scourge Zombie and draw a card. I'm not seeing the drawn card. There's a Blaze of Glory though. That'll animate the flood and strike everything, including Ben's avatar, and end the game. Wow, that was an exciting one. Big finish there from Vince, holding on to that Blaze of Glory. I think I saw that in his hand quite a bit earlier. Holding on to that Blaze of Glory as a Death Door finisher. It looks like he had the advantage, so he never really needed to use it until this point anyway. But yeah, that was quite an impressive showing from Enchantress. And yeah, thanks for watching here. And as the players discuss potential misplays here, it looks like Ben's noting that a lot of the game was focused on that right side of the board. But hopefully he remembers that Vince did a lot of work to clear the left side of the board. So it was not just that it was not a misplay from Ben. Ben tried to protect that left side, but just couldn't quite get there. All right, well, thanks for watching. Again, this is Bobby, and this was the 4th round of the FAB Foundry Win-A-Box event, and catch you next time.